You know, I've been around the block a few times, seen a thing or two. And let me tell you something, respect isn't just given, it's earned. But here's the kicker. It's a whole lot easier to lose respect than it is to gain it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to paint a rosy picture or to tell you what you want to hear. That's not the purpose of our gathering today. My role, as I see it, is to present the unvarnished truth, because it's this truth, however uncomfortable it might be, that has the power to transform your life. It's the catalyst for real, meaningful change. So, let's talk about respect. Or rather, let's talk about disrespect. Because if you're not careful, if you're not mindful of your actions and your habits, you might just find yourself in a situation where people don't respect you. And let me tell you, that's no way to live. But here's the good news. Once you recognize these habits, you can change them, you can turn things around. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Habit number 1, inconsistency. The first awful habit that makes people disrespect you is inconsistency. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of inconsistency where you wear mismatched socks, though. That's a whole other issue. I'm talking about the kind of inconsistency that makes people doubt your word, your character, and your very essence. You see, consistency is the foundation of trust. And trust, my friends, is the cornerstone of respect. When you're inconsistent, you're essentially telling the world, don't count on me. I might show up, I might not. I might do what I say, I might not. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you've got a friend. Let's call him Bob. Now, Bob's a nice enough fellow, always full of big ideas and grand plans. Let's start a business, he'll say one day. Let's write a book, he'll say the next. And you, being the good friend that you are, you get excited, you start brainstorming, planning, dreaming. But here's the thing about Box. He never follows through. His enthusiasm lasts about as long as a snowball in July. By the time you've cleared your schedule and bought a notebook for all those brilliant business ideas, Bob's already moved on to his next big thing. How long do you think it'll be before you stop taking Bob seriously? How many times will you get your hopes up before you realize that Bob's word isn't worth the air it takes to speak it? That, my friends, is the cost of inconsistency. It's not just about losing an opportunity here or there. It's about losing the respect and trust of the people around you. But it's not just about big promises and grand plans. Inconsistency can show up in the small things too. Maybe you're always late to meetings. Maybe you say you'll call, but you never do. Maybe you start projects with gusto, but never quite get around to finishing them. Each time you're inconsistent, you're chipping away at your own credibility. You're telling the world that your word doesn't mean much, that you can't be relied upon. And in a world where reliability is currency, you're making yourself bankrupt. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but life is unpredictable. Things come up, plans change, and you're right. Life does throw us curveballs. But here's the thing. Consistency isn't about never changing your mind or never adapting to new circumstances. It's about being dependable in your core values, your work ethic, your treatment of others. If you say you value honesty, be honest, even when it's hard. If you say you're a hard worker, work hard, even when no one's watching. If you say you care about your relationships, show up for people, even when you're tired or busy. Consistency is about aligning your actions with your words. It's about being the same person on Monday that you are on Friday. It's about following through, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. So how do we fix this? How do we become more consistent? Well, it starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to the promises you make, both to others and to yourself. Are you keeping them? If not, why? Next, it's about setting realistic expectations. Don't promise what you can't deliver. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver than the other way around. And finally, it's about practice. Consistency is a habit, and like any habit, it takes time to build. Start small. If you say you're going to call someone, call them. If you say you're going to finish a task by Friday, finish it by Friday. Each time you follow through, you're not just completing a task, You're building your character. Remember, respect is earned in drops and lost in buckets. Don't let inconsistency be the hole in your bucket. Habit number 3, lack of integrity. Now, let's talk about the second awful habit that makes people disrespect you. Lack of integrity. This one's a real doozy, folks, because integrity isn't just about being honest, though that's certainly part of it. Integrity is about being whole, being undivided in your principles and your actions. You see, integrity is like the keel of a ship. It's not something you can see from the outside, but it's what keeps you steady and on course when the waters get rough. And let me tell you, in this life, the waters will get rough. Now, I've met a lot of people in my time who thought they could get by without integrity. They thought they could say one thing to this person, another thing to that person, and as long as they kept all their stories straight, they'd be fine. But here's the thing. Living without integrity is like trying to keep a dozen plates spinning at once. Sooner or later, one of those plates is going to come crashing down. Let me tell you a story. Back when I was just starting out in business, I knew a fellow, we'll call him Charlie. Charlie was what you might call a smooth operator. He had a knack for telling people exactly what they wanted to hear. To his employees, he'd promise the moon and stars. To his investors, he'd paint pictures of profit so rosy they'd make a rose garden look pale in comparison. For a while, Charlie seemed to be on top of the world. He was making deals left and right, expanding his business, living the high life. But here's the thing about living without integrity. It's like building a house on sand. It might look sturdy for a while, but when the tide comes in, it all comes washing away. And for Charlie, the tide came in hard and fast. His employees, tired of broken promises, started jumping ship. His investors, realizing the numbers didn't add up, started asking tough questions. And Charlie didn't have any answers. Because when you've been living without integrity, when you've been saying whatever's convenient in the moment, the truth becomes a stranger even to yourself. Last I heard, Charlie was trying to rebuild his life and his reputation. But let me tell you, rebuilding trust is a whole lot harder than maintaining it in the first place. So what does it mean to live with integrity? It means being the same person in every situation. It means standing by your principles even when, especially when it's inconvenient or unpopular. It means doing the right thing even when no one's watching. Living with integrity means that your words and your actions align. If you say honesty is important to you, then be honest, even when a little white lie might make your life easier in the moment. If you say you value hard work, then work hard, even when you could cut corners and no one would know. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Living with integrity often means making hard choices. It might mean owning up to a mistake that you could have easily covered up. It might mean standing up for what's right, even when everyone else is looking the other way. It might mean turning down an opportunity that doesn't align with your values, even when it could have brought you short-term gain. But here's the thing. While living with integrity might cost you in the short term, it pays dividends in the long run. Because when you live with integrity, you build a reputation that's worth its weight in gold. People know they can trust you. They know your word means something. They know that what they see is what they get. And let me tell you, in a world where it seems like everyone's trying to pull a fast one, where it feels like you need a lawyer to decipher the fine print on everything, a person of integrity stands out like a beacon in the night. So how do we cultivate integrity? Well, it starts with self-reflection. Take a good, hard look at yourself. Are your actions aligned with your stated values? Are you the same person in private that you are in public? Next, it's about making a commitment. Decide right here, right now, that you're going to be a person of integrity, that you're going to do what's right, not what's easy. And finally, it's about practice. Integrity isn't something you achieve once and then you're done. It's a choice you make every day, in every interaction, in every decision. Remember, your integrity is your most valuable possession. Guard it carefully, because once it's gone, it's mighty hard to get back. Habit number 3, chronic complaining. All right, let's move on to the third awful habit that makes people disrespect you, chronic complaining. Now, I know what you're thinking, but surely a little venting now and then is healthy, right? And you're not wrong. We all need to blow off steam sometimes. But there's a world of difference between the occasional grumble and being a full-time complainer. You see, chronic complainers are like human black holes. They suck the energy and positivity out of every room they enter. They can find the cloud in every silver lining, the fly in every ointment. And let me tell you, being around someone like that is about as pleasant as a root canal without anesthesia. Now, I'm not saying life is all sunshine and rainbows. We all face challenges, we all have bad days. But it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to it. And if your response to every little hiccup is to complain, well, you're not just making yourself miserable, you're pushing away everyone around you. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you've got a coworker. We'll call her Sally. Every morning, Sally comes into the office with a fresh list of complaints. The traffic was terrible. The coffee shop got her order wrong. Her neighbor's dog was barking all night. Her computer is too slow. The air conditioning is too cold. On and on it goes, day after day. At first, people might sympathize. They might even join in, sharing their own frustrations. But as the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months, something starts to change. People start avoiding Sally. They take the long way to the break room to avoid passing her desk. They start leaving her off email chains and meeting invites. Why? Because chronic complaining is exhausting. It's draining, and more than that, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the people around you who have their own challenges to deal with. It's disrespectful to the opportunities you have, which many people would give their right arm for. And ultimately, it's disrespectful to yourself because you're training your brain to focus on the negative, to always look for what's wrong instead of what's right. But here's the real kicker. Chronic complaining doesn't just push people away. It erodes their respect for you, because here's the truth. Respect isn't given to those who simply point out problems. Respect is given to those who face challenges head on, who look for solutions instead of dwelling on obstacles. Think about the people you respect most in your life. I bet dollars to donuts they're not chronic complainers. They're probably people who face adversity with grace, who look for the silver lining, who focus on what they can change instead of what they can't. So how do we break the habit of chronic complaining? Well, it starts with awareness. Pay attention to your words. How often are you complaining? What are you complaining about? Is it something you can change, or is it out of your control? Next, it's about perspective. For every complaint that bubbles up, challenge yourself to find something positive in the situation. Stuck in traffic, use the time to listen to an audiobook or podcast. Coffee order wrong? Be grateful you can afford coffee in the first place. Computer slow? Be thankful you have a computer at all. And finally, it's about action. If something's bothering you, ask yourself, what can I do about this? Can you change the situation? If yes, take action. If no, can you change your attitude towards it? Remember, you always have a choice in how you respond to a situation. Now, I'm not saying you should never express frustration or dissatisfaction. There's a time and place for that. But if you find yourself complaining more often than not, if your default response to any situation is to focus on what's wrong, it's time for a change. Because here's the truth, to spend it complaining. And more than that, life is too precious to waste it pushing away the very people who could support you, inspire you, and yes, respect you. So the next time you're tempted to complain, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? Is this really the person I want to be? Because every time you choose positivity over negativity, solutions over complaints, you're not just changing your day, you're changing your life. Remember, the world doesn't respect victims. The world respects fighters, problem solvers, optimists. Be one of those people and watch how quickly the respect follows. Habit number 4, lack of personal responsibility. Now, let's tackle the fourth and final awful habit that makes people disrespect you. Lack of personal responsibility. This one's a real doozy. folks. Because in a world where it seems like everyone's looking for someone else to blame, taking personal responsibility is like a superpower. You see, personal responsibility is about owning your life, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It's about understanding that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can always control how you respond. It's about recognizing that you are the author of your own story, the captain of your own ship. But let me tell you, there are a whole lot of people out there who haven't got the memo. They go through life thinking they're leaves in the wind, blown this way and that by circumstances beyond their control. Every failure is someone else's fault. Every setback is due to bad luck or unfair treatment. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying life is always fair. I'm not saying bad things don't happen to good people, but I am saying that constantly shirking responsibility, always looking for someone else to blame, is a surefire way to lose the respect of those around you. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I knew a young man. We'll call him Tom. Tom was smart, charismatic, full of potential, but Tom had a problem. He never took responsibility for anything in his life. If he was late to work, it was because of the traffic. If he missed a deadline, it was because his computer crashed. If a relationship didn't work out, it was because the other person was crazy. Tom always had an excuse, always had someone or something to blame. For a while, people cut him some slack. After all, we've all been there, right? We've all had those days where everything seems to go wrong. But as time went on, people started to notice a pattern. No matter what happened, it was never Tom's fault, never his responsibility. And you know what happened? People stopped trusting Tom. They stopped giving him important tasks at work. They stopped inviting him to social events. Because here's the thing. When you never take responsibility for your actions, you're essentially telling the world that you can't be counted on, that you're not in control of your own life. And let me tell you, nothing kills respect faster than that. Because here's the truth. Respect isn't given to those who have a perfect life. Respect is given to those who own their mistakes, who learn from their failures, who take responsibility for their actions and their outcomes. Think about it. Who do you respect more? Well, the person who messes up and says, yeah, I dropped the ball on that one. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. Or the person who messes up and says, it's not my fault. So-and-so didn't give me the right information, or the system was down, or Mercury was in retrograde. Taking personal responsibility isn't just about owning up to mistakes, though. It's about taking charge of your life. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your circumstances, to influence your outcomes. It's about understanding that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can always control how you respond. It's about recognizing that your life is the result of your choices, not your circumstances. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what about when bad things happen that really aren't my fault? And you're right, sometimes life throws us curveballs. Sometimes we face genuine adversity or injustice. But here's the thing, even in those situations, you still have a choice. You can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to be a victor. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I met a man who had lost his job due to company downsizing. Now, this wasn't his fault. He was a good worker, always on time, always gave his best. But the company was struggling and cut. Now, this man had two choices. He could blame the company, blame the economy, blame bad luck. He could sit at home feeling sorry for himself, waiting for something to change. Or he could take responsibility for his situation and do something about it. And you know what? That's exactly what he did. Instead of complaining, he used his newfound free time to learn new skills. He networked, he volunteered, he started a small side business, and within 6 months, he had not just a new job, but a better job than the one he'd lost. That, my friends, is what personal responsibility looks like. It's not about blaming yourself for things outside your control. It's about focusing on what you can control and taking action to improve your situation. So how do we cultivate this habit of personal responsibility? Well, it starts with mindset. Stop thinking of yourself as a victim of circumstances and start thinking of yourself as the creator of your life. When something goes wrong, don't ask, who's to blame? Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? Next, it's about language. Pay attention to how you talk about your life. Are you always saying things like, I have to, or I can't? Try replacing those phrases with I choose to, or I don't want to. It's a small change, but it reminds you that you're in control of your actions. And finally, it's about action. Taking responsibility means taking action. If there's something in your life you're not happy with, do something about it. Make a plan. Take a step, no matter how small, towards changing it. Remember, personal responsibility isn't about being perfect. We all make mistakes. We all face setbacks, but it's about owning those mistakes, learning from those setbacks, and using them as stepping stones to become better. Because here's the truth. The world respects those who take charge of their lives. The world respects those who face challenges head-on, who own their mistakes, who constantly strive to be better. Be one of those people and watch how quickly the respect follows. Now, we talked about 4 awful habits that make people disrespect you. Inconsistency, lack of integrity, chronic complaining, and lack of personal responsibility. But here's the thing. Recognizing these habits is only half the battle. The real work comes in changing them, and I won't lie to you. It's not easy. Changing habits, especially ones that are deeply ingrained, takes time, effort, and a whole lot of persistence. But let me tell you, it's worth it. Because when you shed these habits, when you become a person of consistency, integrity, positivity, and personal responsibility, you're not just earning the respect of others, you're becoming the best version of yourself. So let me challenge you. Take a good, hard look at yourself. Are any of these habits creeping into your life? Are you being consistent in your words and actions? Are you living with integrity, even when it's hard? Are you focusing on solutions instead of complaints? Are you taking responsibility for your life and your choices? If the answer to any of these questions is no, don't beat yourself up. We all have room for improvement. The important thing is that you're aware of it now, and awareness is the first step towards change. Start small, pick one area to work on. Maybe this week, you focus on being more consistent. Follow through on your commitments, no matter how small, or maybe you work on complaining less. Every time you're tempted to complain, find something to be grateful for instead. And here's a tie. Don't try to do it alone. Share your goals with a friend, a family member, a mentor. Ask them to hold you accountable. Because when you verbalize your intentions, when you invite others to support you in your growth, you're much more likely to follow through. Remember, respect isn't something you can demand. It's something you earn day by day, choice by choice, action by action. It's earned in the moments when no one's watching, in the decisions you make when it would be easier to take the low road. But here's the beautiful thing. As you work on eliminating these awful habits, as you become a person worthy of respect, you'll find that you respect yourself more too. And that, my friends, is the foundation of all success and happiness in life. You see, when you respect yourself, when you hold yourself to high standards, you naturally begin to make better choices. You surround yourself with better people. You pursue bigger goals. You create a life that's aligned with your values, and that's what this is all about. It's not just about earning the respect of others, though that's certainly important. It's about becoming the kind of person you can be proud of. The kind of person who looks in the mirror and likes what they see. The kind of person who goes to bed each night knowing they gave their best, acted with integrity, focused on solutions, and took responsibility for their life. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if I've already lost people's respect? What if I've been inconsistent, or lacked integrity, or complained too much, or shirked responsibility for years? Is it too late? And to that I say, it's never too late. Never. As long as you're breathing, you have the opportunity to change, to grow, to become better. Yes, rebuilding respect takes time. Yes, it requires consistent effort, but it's possible. And more than that, it's worth it. Start today. Start now. Make a commitment to yourself to eliminate these awful habits from your life, to become a person of consistency, integrity, positivity, and personal responsibility, to become the kind of person that commands respect, not through force or manipulation, but through the strength of their character and the quality of their actions. Because here's the truth. The world needs more people like that. In a world that often seems chaotic and unpredictable, be someone others can count on. In a world where it sometimes feels like everyone's out for themselves, be someone who stands by their principles. In a world that can feel overwhelming and negative, be a source of solutions and positivity. In a world where it's easy to play the victim, be someone who takes charge of their life. Be that person, and I promise you, respect will follow. Not just from others, but from the most important person of all, yourself. So my friends, the choice is yours. Will you continue with these awful habits, pushing away the very respect you desire? Or will you commit to change, to growth, to becoming the best version of yourself? I believe in you. I believe you have the power to change, to grow, to become someone worthy of the highest respect. But it starts with a decision. It starts with a commitment. It starts right here, right now. Are you ready? Are you willing to do the work? To face the challenges? To become the person you know you can be? The world is waiting. Your future is waiting. The best version of yourself is waiting. What are you going to do about it? Remember, my friends, life is not just about how you start. It's about how you finish. So let's finish strong. Let's finish with integrity, with consistency, with positivity, with personal responsibility. Let's finish in a way that commands respect from others and from ourselves. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today. Eliminate these awful habits. Embrace the habits of highly respected individuals. And watch as your life transforms, as doors open, as opportunities present themselves. Because when you respect yourself, when others respect you, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The world becomes your oyster. Your potential becomes limitless. So go forth, my friends. Go forth and become the person you were meant to be. Go forth and earn the respect you deserve. Go forth and create a life you can be proud of. The time is now. The person is you. The choice is yours.